Hi, I'm Jeff Hajek, the owner and founder of Valaction. This video is part of my lean training system. It was originally released as a DVD a long time ago, but times have changed and the look of some of these LTS videos is now a bit dated. The content is still spot on though, so rather than just discontinue the line, I am posting the majority of each of the 36 videos here, with the remainder available at Valaction Videos. That's our video service where you can download a wealth of supporting content and watch subscriber-only videos. I recommend subscribing and hitting the notification button if you want to make sure you don't miss any new content. I would also really appreciate if you would hit the like button if this video is helpful and you want to see more content similar to it. The like button helps us get found on YouTube, but it also lets us figure out where you want us to put our future effort. Now enjoy the free version of this video. Welcome to Valaction Continuous Improvement's presentation on standardization. I am Jeff Hajek, the owner and founder of Valaction. Let's start out by going over what you should get out of this presentation. First, we want you to understand the role standardization plays in continuous improvement. Second, you should learn about several different methods of standardization. And finally, you should get a sense of what's in it for you, how standardization can improve your job satisfaction. So, what is standardization? In a nutshell, it is creating a uniform process to get a consistent output. Think of the books in library stacks. If books were put away haphazardly, you'd never be able to find what you are looking for. So, if you like being able to get the books you want without spending hours searching through piles, then you love standardization. Unfortunately, standardization at work has gotten something of a bad rap. But the truth is, we thrive on standardization. The list is practically endless in our day-to-day existence. Many of these things are so standard, we stopped thinking about them. When you see a sign, you know exactly what to do. You probably haven't thought about actually thought about the sign in a long time. You just see it, react to it, then think no more of it. But without well-understood traffic laws, driving would be a lot less safe. We don't question standardization in these real-world situations. Keep that in mind as you think about standardization at work. I hope you are getting something valuable out of this video. If you want to get more out of this program, we recommend watching it on Valaction Videos. You'll be able to watch the entire video, mostly ad-free, and view subscriber-only programs. You'll also have access to a load of continuous improvement downloads. I'll leave you with one last example before we move from concept to practical application at work. There is one mother of all standardizations that is used throughout the world: money. It creates a uniform way of exchanging goods and services easily. The point is that standardization is something we are not only familiar with, but that we embrace. Let's be a little bit more clear here about what we typically mean when we say standardization. We certainly want our suppliers to deliver consistent inputs to us. And our customers expect the same thing from us. But what jumps to mind for most people when we talk about standardization is process standardization. We want everybody to do a task the same way every single time. This image shows the relationship between suppliers, customers, and the processes you are doing. Keep in mind that you may have many inputs to a process. Some of these inputs are things that you probably pay very little attention to. If, for example, you have a curing oven on a paint line, natural gas is likely one of your inputs to your process. The electricity to power tools on an assembly line similarly falls into this category as well. Why don't we pay attention to those sorts of things? Because they have been so standardized that they are expected to be delivered exactly the same way every single time. The point of the type of diagram on the screen, though, is to help you better understand those things that are not so perfectly standardized, the ones we do need to pay attention to. Without standardized inputs, it will be exceedingly difficult to standardize your process. Part of creating standardization is to look upstream at your suppliers in this manner. And rest assured, your customers are doing the same thing to you. So consider your outputs from the perspective of the customer. Remember, your outputs are their inputs. Think about how they will view the results of your process. Again, think of all the different outputs you deliver. If you run a coffee shop, coffee is only part of your output. The level of service and the ambience are also outputs. Similarly, if you have a business-to-business customer, they will view things such as communication and reliability as inputs to their process. Of note, this relationship is known as a SIPOC diagram. It is meant to keep you focused on the concept that your processes and your attempts to standardize them are not completed in a vacuum. We've talked about big picture standardization, things that people generally have no control over, such as traffic laws and money. They are forced to accept these standardizations into their lives. But the truth is, people embrace standardization in their own homes by choice. Let's look at how people may do some tasks from the perspective of the SIPOC diagram. Cooking is one good example. People are very careful about the ingredients they select and who they buy their food from. They experiment until they find the perfect recipe. Most people arrange their kitchen in a way that supports the cooking process. They may buy high-quality cookware to ensure even heating to improve their process. And as you know, the goal is to create a wonderful dining experience for your guests. Similarly, your cleaning processes are also probably fairly standardized. Most people don't randomly select different cleaners. They generally stick with a brand that they like. Many people create cleaning routines and schedules. Some people even create small cleaning kits that they can carry with them from room to room. The point is that we gravitate towards standardization when things matter to us. Our morning preparation rituals, the way we drive to work, how we manage our money, our yard work, all of these things tend to be done the same way over and over. Of course, we don't put the same degree of emphasis on it that we do in the workplace, but it is telling that when left to our own devices, we choose standardization to at least some degree. So why do we migrate in that direction? Why do we seek the natural order of standardization? The first big reason is that we want to get predictable results. Consistent quality is an obvious benefit of consistent processes. But we also want to be able to accurately predict when work will be completed so we can make promises to our customers. It is also important to know how long the work will take so we can staff appropriately. Another reason for standardization is to hedge against turnover. At home, if we move, we don't tend to be overly concerned with how the next owners of our house do their yard work. If you are a business owner, though, when your employees leave the company, you don't want them taking all of the know-how with them. This sharing of knowledge is also critical in a well-managed, continuous improvement-focused organization. If you want to be able to move people around as demand fluctuates, or simply to keep people from getting bored in their work, you have to be sure that the output will be the same regardless of who is doing the operation. One of the byproducts of having multiple people do the same tasks or in documenting tasks is that people learn better ways to do things. They share their best practices. And that ties into why standardization is a good basis for improvement. As mentioned earlier, it is easier to share best practices associated with a standardized process than a non-standard one. But there is more to it than that. To make improvements, you have to compare the results from before and after a change to make sure that your new process is, in fact, better than the old one. If your old process is not really a single process, but rather a random collection of different processes, you'll never know if the change is an improvement. As part of the Lean training system this video comes from, we offer a variety of Lean Lego training packages. These include our Lean Lego flow simulation, mistake proofing or poka-yoke Lean Lego exercise, and our visual controls and 5S Lean Lego exercise. We've also got an office flow simulation for those not implementing continuous improvement on the shop floor. Click the links in the description below or click on cards that pop up on this video to learn more. We'll also add links at the end. As you do begin standardizing, you will quickly realize that not all standardization is created equal. The first step for most people is simply to document a process. They write down how work is supposed to be performed. If you stop here, though, you will quickly learn that what is written on paper is not always how work is performed. The work might have changed and the documentation has not, or people might simply not be following the process. There are a variety of reasons why people do things different ways. The most common reasons are 1. That the inputs are inconsistent, forcing them to deviate, or 2. Different people have different preferences. If you want to get better, you have to translate that documentation into the real world. Get good quality systems in place so you don't have to account for this variation in inputs. Set up Kanban systems so that people don't have to deviate from their processes when they go looking for the right parts. Arrange workspaces so that people find it easier to do a process the right way. Going a step further in your standardization, it is possible to set up a process so it cannot be done incorrectly. From the quality point of view, this is often called mistake proofing or poka-yoke. The point is that you keep looking for ways that your system fails and redesign those failures to better support the proper way of doing your process. Over time, you'll find your processes tightening up. Keep in mind that there is no clear distinction between Level 2 and Level 3. It is more of a slow migration as you continuously improve your work areas to support your processes. In addition to the various levels of standardization, you may also see different types of standardization. SOPs and work instructions are two types of documentation. They simply record how we want the work to be done. Again, documentation can be limited if the work area is not built to match it. Try to make your documentation as visual as possible. Even if you are a novice at graphics, you can still easily insert pictures into text. The more you can clear up confusion, the better. Sometimes, SOPs or work instructions only work in a specific range of conditions. In those cases, you may want to create playbooks which are simply conditional SOPs. If situation A exists, then do play A. If situation B is happening, it obviously means you have to pull out a different play. Playbooks are most commonly associated with fluctuations in customer demand. In this example, the company has low weekend demand. Demand also tapers off toward the end of the work week. Knowing that these different conditions exist, you would pull out the appropriate play at different times of the week. One of the nice things about this variable staffing planning is that it works both ways. Notice that play 3, with lower demand, means that people can be freed up to help in other work areas. The flip side to being able to release people means that if there is a spike on Tuesday, with the right play, the team could accept help from a different work area. Get more out of our Lean Training System videos with our Continuous Improvement Companion. It's closing in on 1,000 pages of great content. It is currently available as a download with a subscription to Vlaction Videos and as a license through our store. You can also get a free version of it by signing up for our newsletter. Click the links in the description below or click on the cards that pop up on this video to learn more. We'll also add links at the end. Yet another form of standardization is the checklist. Most of us are familiar with this tool. Of note, it is best used for sequential types of work. Probably the most common example that pops to mind is the pre-flight checklist. Checklists are most beneficial when used in some specific types of situations. The pre-flight checklist or surgical checklist fall into this first category, critical processes. Checklists may also be beneficial when you're doing an infrequent process. You may, for example, have a quarterly process that you do in accounting. It is easy to forget things when you only do it once every 3 months. Checklists are a good remedy for this type of amnesia. And finally, checklists are extremely useful for trainees as they learn a process. I'm generally not a big fan of checklists for seasoned employees. I'd rather see good workstation design. But for new employees that are just getting the hang of a process, checklists can be very useful. Flowcharts are another very common way to document your standardization. These are most useful with processes that don't follow a linear flow. Many office processes are like this, where you take different actions based on decision points. One great thing about flowcharts is their visual nature. This certainly helps make flowcharts among the easiest forms of documentation to understand. They also have the added benefit of making complexity jump out. Convoluted flowcharts present ripe opportunities for improvement. Here is a basic example of a flowchart. Note that you're not going to get a lot of detail with this form of documentation. Flowcharts tend to be more focused on bullet points. Here is a basic continuous improvement tip for you. Don't wait for a process to be complete before you start documenting. Often people are reluctant to spend the energy recording a process if they don't feel it is quite ready. Instead, put what you have available on paper and annotate the gaps. Any progress in the right direction on standardizing is good progress. The final form of standardization I will be talking about now is standard work. Thanks for watching this extended free version of our Lean Training System module video. If you want to watch the whole video, check it out at Velaction Videos. If you want to make sure you don't miss the next LTS video that we post, please be sure to subscribe down below. We also always appreciate likes as it helps us get viewed more and makes us keep adding additional content. Thanks for watching, and best wishes on your continuous improvement journey.